Welcome, everyone, to Ladder Daily Digest. We honor creators, and this week we're honoring John Dehlin's birthday as the creator, fantastique of Mormon Stories. And also Mormon Stories is going to be entering its 20th year next month. And so we're honoring John for that. We're doing these 1-minute Mormon stories where we talk a little bit about a show that was important to someone. And today I have with me MasterPeace. Ron, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me here. I love being here.
Yeah. And so I'm going to ask people, I'm going to try to do all shows up until maybe Christmas to let people share what Mormon Story was impactful for them. And so if anybody wants to come on, and also to the listeners that are fans, like, subscribe, share, all those things are important to spread the word. Share Mormon Stories with lots of people because they are very impactful. They're a way people can commiserate. Somebody told me that watching Mormon Stories helped them feel that they weren't crazy because other people had similar experiences. And so it's just been very, very amazing. John's gone from 27,000 subscribers on January 1st, 2021 to over 258,000 subscribers.
Wow.
And so that's just amazing. So, Ron, you wanted to talk about a Mormon Story featuring Nik and Dawna.
Yeah.
And what was the subject matter for them?
So they talked about the 12-step recovery program for pornography and the trauma that it caused them in their lives, in their marriage, in their youth, and everything along those lines. So
it's episode 1348.
1348. So surviving the church's 12-step pornography addiction program. It covers the story of Nik and Dawna Berry and how their marriage was affected by the church's 12-step program for pornography addiction. So it caused serious problems in their marriage. They criticized the 12-step program for how it works and its approach, how it's absolutely the worst way of relieving this problem, the shame and everything around the pornography. It just makes everything so much worse. They also share a lot of their personal experiences and struggles, and they call out for a reevaluation for how this program is implemented and the shame cycle that's implemented in the church entirely. So it was a very important message when I was...
About how long ago do you think that you first saw this episode?
I think I saw it when it first came out. So this would be fall of 2020, sorry.
Yeah, 2020. So right after COVID, lots of people's lives were affected by COVID, and people had a lot more time to look up things and, we'll say, study true Mormon history and other things. And so when you first saw that episode, what were your thoughts?
So this was just right as I was going through my deconstruction process. I had kind of come to the decision that, yeah, the church isn't true. There's enough problems with everything in it that it may not have the truth claims it claims to have. But it's a great culture. It's a great place to raise a family. It teaches good morals. I hadn't learned how to present those types of ideas myself yet to kids. So I kind of offloaded some of that responsibility to the church, and it worked great for me growing up, and it seemed to be working great for my family. So the church was wonderful. So it seemed like a good place to raise my family still. So I was still going.
This was a video that gave you a little bit more information about how the church might affect somebody.
Yeah. I saw what happened in their life. If you come forward and you admit to using pornography to your church leaders, the guilt and the shame surrounding that is very destructive. Everyone can see what Nik was sent home early from his mission. I think he was just in the MTC when he made a confession, and they just sent him straight home. And then that impacted his girlfriend, who was still behind, because everyone that they hadn't had actual sex but there was enough that talk and rumors going around that her reputation was destroyed, and his was completely destroyed. He's sent home from his mission. So this whole cycle of trauma is really, and shame is piling on from everyone around them. And
just for being two humans experimenting with attraction.
Yeah, and I think I can't remember exactly where Nik started. I think it might have just been watching something on the internet, and he was just watching that, and that's enough for him to get sent home or something.
Right.
But they said there was no sexual interaction, but he still got sent home, and now the shame, and everyone knows what happened to him and what they did.
Yeah.
And this shame kind of went through his whole. He ended up getting out on his mission again. He almost got sent home again when he found a magazine on his mission in a bathroom someplace. And he confessed each time he's confessing. So if you're confessing to these problems, if you're so caught up in trying to do what's right, and you admit every time you do something wrong, then you're punished severely for it. And all the ones that don't admit it, they get off scot-free, and there's no harm, no foul. As long as you can keep it a secret, then you're fine.
That's right. And those people learn that lying to the bishop is better than telling the truth compared to all these other negative effects.
Absolutely.
We'll say I know someone personal that learned how to lie to the bishop.
Yeah, I think Mormons just turn out to be great liars, because if they don't, they have to keep up the appearance of keeping all the rules, and it's really hard. And if they don't do it, then if their conscience builds up and they confess to the bishop or whoever, and people find out, then that shame cycle is brutal, and you learn either to not confess, or you learn to be like a really good liar on how to hide those things.
Right.
So seeing how this impacted their marriage, I think they almost divorced just because they started this 12-step recovery program, and the wife was put in charge of monitoring and babysitting her husband and making sure that he's not doing anything wrong or anything like that. And it's not, you're no longer in an equal partnership. You're put in a parent-child position.
Right. It's an infantilization.
It wasn't until they kind of broke free from this and realized that there's the shame and the guilt, and this really doesn't have power over them. They can kind of step back and say, hey, the church is doing this wrong. This isn't as bad like they claim it is, that they're finally able to let go of this power over them. And all of a sudden the need for this pornography or this outlet, the drive kind of diminishes completely, because you're no longer driven by this shame and guilt that almost pressures you more into. When you're covered in all this guilt, you're looking for some kind of freedom from it, some kind of release or something, somewhere you can feel something that feels better than the guilt and the shame. So you're just driven back into it over and over again, because that's the only time you really feel good.
And just in general, whenever you, like, I remember in baseball, you tell somebody, whatever you do, don't strike out, right? Just putting that negative thought in their mind causes them maybe to worry about it so much that they strike out. Or telling somebody, don't think of a pink elephant with purple polka dots. That's exactly what everybody's going to be thinking about. And so when you say, don't look at pornography, everybody's going to be like, oh, what's pornography?
Yeah, and especially if that's something that's always surrounding your mind. If you always have those reminders that you're not supposed to, then that's all you're going to be thinking about, and that's going to keep driving you back to it. But once you can let go of the guilt and the shame, pornography doesn't have a power over you, and you can use it as a tool if you need it every once in a while to release some pent-up frustration. You don't need your spouse to be your only sexual outlet, or expecting them to take care of all of your needs. You can take care of your own needs.
It's an invented sin.
Yes. So it puts a lot of pressure on the wife, gives her responsibility that she doesn't need to have. Certainly you keep everything within your marriage, but if it's just between you and yourself and everything, there's
just problems, right?
It is.
And you know, you are going through some deconstruction, but this allows your eyes to be opened, we'll say, to other problems in the church and And then when you see some problems, then you can notice other ones. Because like the first thing that I noticed was that the race and the priesthood issue was just because of prejudice, not because God wanted to withhold the priesthood or temple blessings from any group of people. It was just prejudice. And so once I realized that church leaders can make grave mistakes just from how, you know, they accept, you know, social norms or whatever, almost said, well, maybe they're not being guided by anybody if they're only guided by their own social beliefs, right? And constructs.
Right. So as I was,
and thanks to John DeLynn for having that story available for you, right?
Yes. So seeing this, I was able to look back at one of my children that had struggled with similar problems. And when he went through the same shame cycle, going through the branch president, not being able to pass a sacrament or anything along those lines, there was a lot of shame and frustration built up around that. And I could see that this was really hellish on him. And raising your family in this kind of culture wasn't as good and uplifting as I thought it was going to be. So this let me see things from a different point of view and see how it affects other people and not just how it affected me and how I was able to navigate things. So this episode was key. I sent it to my son and one of my daughters, like, hey, this is something you'll need to be aware of when in your own marriage or anything along those lines when you get to that point. So this was very eye-opening for me. So I'm grateful for they came forward, and I'm grateful John DeLynn gave them this platform to share their story.
Was part of their story that they received counseling from, we'll say, non-LDS counselors towards the end?
It's
I don't remember for sure.
It's been a long time since I saw the whole thing, and when I was kind of skimming through it last night, I didn't get to that part.
But everybody probably could benefit from seeing a mental health professional, you know, to work out anything in their lives. And seeing these stories might not cure anybody of any problems. It might help people, you know, through some things. But it also gives you some vocabulary, some insight, and so that when you do seek, you know, mental professionals, you know, you have a basis for a discussion that could help, you know, you moving forward.
Yes. So when I was going through my faith transition, it was very traumatic. I didn't know anyone I could talk to. Mormon Stories was there to explain that I wasn't crazy. It gave me a lot of examples of people that had gone through the same situation I was, and how they handled some of the problems in their lives, things that worked well, things that didn't work well, where they ended up in their faith journey afterwards. And it let me see that all the different possibilities that were available. And I binged Mormon Stories so hard those first 6 months. And
I joked that I saw all 40,000 hours.
Yeah, it saved my sanity and a lot of my family relationships, just because I was able to see how I could better navigate those sticky issues. So I was very grateful for Mormon Stories.
That's right. So happy birthday to John this week. And also congratulations to him sticking it out this long. Next month is going to be starting the 20th year. And we're grateful to John. Everybody like, share, and subscribe, and have a great rest of the summer. Bye-bye. And thanks, Ron, for coming on.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.